Marvel's Daredevil returns to Netflix, and so do we, with Season 2 reviews of Bang! Dogs Through a Gunfight and New York's Finest. The first 3 episodes, I bring you Alonso, Meredith, and Francis. I did not call him Ajax in this take, but what we're going to talk, there's a lot going on so far, even early on. Yeah. We jump right into the action.
There's a power vacuum, obviously, in Hell's Kitchen with Wilson Fisk behind bars. Yes. Yeah. So any number of other goons are stepping up. And their presence has in turn called up Mr. Frank Castle.
That's what they want you to think. Let's be honest. I think we're starting. I mean, already they lay the groundwork. There's more to Punisher's story than meets the eye. I don't think it's.
I don't mean they created him. I just meant his appearance.
I know. So at first, I'm thinking like, wait, are the Irish the bad guys this season? I'm like, come on, we're not that bad. We're not that bad.
It's Irish? How could you tell from that scene?
From the deedly ringtone.
I know, right?
They say shite despite having American accent, corned beef and cabbage.
Yeah,
bowls of Lucky Charms.
I'm like, finally, my people are being stereotyped in mass media. Thank you.
And can I take that one? I've never heard any American say shite before in my life. I have said it before.
It's just weird to say it with an American accent, you know?
Shite.
That's the only way you go for there.
I only say it when I'm quoting Trainspotting.
Yeah. But one thing I felt like they were sort of alluding to, which I don't know, which I think you were right, Meredith, is they were kind of alluding to, but is that the real issue? Is that Daredevil, is it like his actions are a result now of why the Punisher's here? Kind of like he drew him out because he was taking actions into his own hand. But I don't think, that's what I think they were alluding to.
Yeah.
I don't think that's what his story is about.
Yeah, I think the cops think that. I think maybe Hell's Kitchen believes that. But, you know, it's definitely episode 2 is where we really, you know, there's a very telling scene in the pawn shop where, I mean, obviously, if you're familiar with the comics, you know a lot about Punisher's backstory, but for those of you being introduced to Frank Castle for the very first time, you see when he was going to just leave that pawn shop and leave that pawn shop owner alone. He's like, oh, you want some porn? You want some underage porn? 12 years old. Snaps right there. There's something about a young girl and Frank Castle that he does not tolerate. Obviously, he doesn't tolerate criminals in general, but young children in Frank Castle, you'll see as a running theme for this character.
Yeah, he'll buy a stolen police transmitter off of you, but, let's not cross any lines.
He has very defined lines of justice, which he gets into later on the famous rooftop scene.
Yeah.
Am I jumping ahead too far?
Oh, well,
we're going to treat these as one thing.
Let's go back to episode 1.
Okay, well, we have the Foggy, Matt, Karen trio.
Yeah.
And, you know, as he says, he likes it when there's the 3 of us. And it is nice to see them all back together. And
it's great to see
Karen has feelings for Matt.
She does. And it's great to see Foggy taking such a progressive and active role. Like, not just as a lawyer, but just how much he cares for Matt. I really love to see, you know, his character development this season, because in the comics, he's not as well developed. And I'm really, really excited just to see how he is in this episode, or in these
And he learns the secret identity pretty early on. And after an initial bout of being kind of angry about it, which in a weird way was handled almost like a coming out story, like, how could you not tell me? Why were you lying to me? You know, but now that he's sort of wrapped his head around it and is okay with it, he's more concerned about his safety and, you know, that, and of course, you know, the second that Matt swears that, you know, that no harm will come to him, he's here, cue harm, you know.
But I feel like they did do a good job of like showing that he's still feeling the ripple effects from Matt telling him his background story. Like, he did kind of get over it quickly in that early season, but it seems now that he's not just taking these things lightly, and he's becoming his own sort of investigator in terms of how he knows that each situation that he can hear, it might be Matt, because he knows, well, he's only the one that really knows his identity.
We see him like running
into
every time he thinks there's danger. He's like, I have to go get Matt, and he does. He would have died without him in at least one case.
Right.
But he has become very much. Their relationship reads as really intimate, like
brothers,
more intimate than maybe a romantic relationship.
Oh yeah, I mean they're definitely best friends. Form this bond. They're partners in a business. They're brothers. I mean he's
become his Alfred, I think.
I did like him using his wiles to get about, like, I locked myself out. The kids. I'm an idiot.
His mouth is his best weapon. His mouth is undoubtedly.
Well, and then just going forward in episode 3, the way he handles like the DA, and then the way he diffuses
the
hospital,
the bikers,
right?
you know.
The bikers as well.
Yeah. Oh God, like Foggy, I love you. You have become like one of my favorite characters.
Now, by episode 3, we know that Karen Page has a mutant power, which is to create file folders that have information that she conveniently needs that she got heaven knows where.
Yeah.
like from the exposition fairy. Suddenly she's got all this in the dish on what's happening in the DA's office and all this other stuff. It's like, where is this coming from?
Where did you get that? Yeah, I was thinking like, wait, are you the secretary? Or wait, have you been taking law classes? Are you a paralegal now? She knew so much, and she was so in tune to, I guess, their sense of justice and being sure that they're able to get it for Grotto, which I thought that was really interesting. Following Grotto, can he be redeemed? Will he redeem himself?
Well, and then all the way up to the end. Okay, so we end up with, okay, after how many times we've seen every episode, Punisher and Daredevil get into it, and we see Matt get his ass beat by Punisher, and it is great. I'm sorry, I love it. I'm a little bit of a Punisher fan, guys. But episode 3 lands on a really awesome and infamous scene from a Punisher comic. The arc is called The Choice, and it has Frank Castle, Punisher, has Matt Murdock, Daredevil, chained up on top of a rooftop, and he has a gun taped to his hand, and he asks him, he says, you have one bullet, you have one bullet, one shot, one chance to kill, and the character, it's an Italian mobster. And it's one chance to kill the Punisher before the Punisher kills his mark. And Matt obviously finds his own way out of it, like he does in the scene. But it's so amazing and freaking fantastic to see from page to screen and how they expanded it. And like that's like for me as a comic book fan to like watch that come to life. And then we get another hallway scene, but like it's across the hall and then down.
Episode 3, always in episode 3. Episode 3, they remember, oh yeah, old boy, let's do that again.
I think the hallway is Daredevil's favorite, where he's most comfortable.
Yes, especially when he can turn the lights off.
I think that we talked about Jessica Jones a little bit, and I thought that it was one of the best villains we've ever seen. Like I just couldn't imagine a better fit for the Punisher than John Bernthal. I see him channeling his Shane season 1. Also, if you've seen him in Fury, I thought he was phenomenal in Fury, very similar to that. But that character was made for him. I think that he's easily one of the main reasons I'm continuing to watch this. So I wasn't familiar with his story in the comic books. I mean, I know the interpretation in movies of the Punisher haven't been the best yet. And I feel like this is going to be a very clear rejuvenation as what we've seen with Daredevil, like from Ben Affleck's demise and putting me off from it from ever, like to what we've seen now. Like, I just can't. I'm so excited to see them.
If these Netflix shows have taught us anything, it's like let's not hold the earlier movie incarnations against these characters, and they're taking them very seriously because both episode 1 and episode 2 end with, "Oh shit, is Daredevil dead?"
Yeah,
I mean, like it's they're taking it right to the limit there. And obviously, in a show called Daredevil, no, he's not dead, but still, they're treating Punisher as a very worthy and equal adversary.
And I like the overarching theme that we are already seeing emerging. Like, is the Punisher a villain? Like, what is his role to do? Is he there to perhaps act as a tool to try and get the better of, or get the Daredevil to act, I don't know, in a certain way that's going to help the community more so than anything else? I don't know why I'm tying it back to Flash. Like we're watching Flash,
I it back
like
to
the Reverse Flash and how he tries to push the Flash to a certain distance so that he can become a better hero.
Well, and it's like which one of them is diluted, the kind of thing. Actually, the thing I was thinking about Flash during this also because in episode 2, when the guy from the DA's office says we're calling him the Punisher, I thought Cisco does the nicknames better. I'm sorry.
But imagine being that guy to give that line. Like you have to dub him the Punisher. Yeah. You were saying Kim earlier beforehand.
I was saying it reminded me of The Killing Joke, where literally the line where he says, "You're just one bad day away from being me."
Yeah.
Which is something that Joker literally said to Batman.
Yeah.
And it's just, I mean, when you say like, who's the villain, in my head, just because relating to that scene, I'm like, oh, it's the Punisher.
Yeah. And that whole scene on the rooftop where they're having that dialogue, that screaming match between each other. I mean, it's surely kind of like, even from the get-go with Daredevil this whole season, I'm kind of like, dude, Matt, lay off. Like you're kind of overreacting to everything. Like especially when Foggy's trying to talk him down and the way he acts. I'm like, you really are no different. Yes, and I love, by the way, the whole no half measures. Like we get that nice little Breaking Bad nod. I'm like it's yes, you're not killing people, but some of those fight scenes, I'm like, you might have broke some guy's back and neck. Like
you make a good point, and the reason why is because last season we can constantly seen Daredevil not directly be involved in someone's death, but as a result, people would die at his hands, basically, right? And he was always fighting with the religious aspect, whether or not he was doing right by the community, by the people. And in some aspects of it, he's a hypocrite by what he says. And I think that, for me, is what stands out between his relationship with the Punisher. I don't see the Punisher immediately as a villain. I see him as taking measures very drastically at times, but I'm interested to see how he helps sculpt Daredevil's character, whether or not he is still fighting with those inner demons to go that distance in order to be the better
and
hero.
vice versa. If Daredevil has any sort of impression on the Punisher, to maybe I do need to pull back. Maybe there's a better way, or as we saw at the end of episode 3, we finally see the X-ray scan,
right.
and we see the little bullet in the head.
Remember that face?
Yeah.
On Meredith's shirt.
Well, it's
Sort
a
of.
deviation. Yeah, no, this is from a panel in Uncanny X-Men where Emma Frost wore this shirt, and I had it custom designed for me. Sorry, I'm really weird like that. Anyways, but yeah.
But it is something really interesting to think about. I mean, on the subject of indirectly causing death, or is this worse than death, what you're doing, or is there rehabilitation? That's something that people wonder about a lot when we're talking about superheroes, which is, maybe we should have a killing rule. I love that they touched on this so early, because this could, in some different series, this could be like the final endgame arc.
Yeah.
But I want to see where they go from here, because it's already off to a great start. Very fast, very action-packed, a lot of tough decisions and questions we can give ourselves even. So we're going to be talking about that very soon in episodes 4, 5, and 6 review. Watch along with us, won't you?
And Bibbs will be back.
And Bibbs will be
That's
here.
right.